presentation. Okay. Great. So, hello everyone. I would like to welcome you all to my presentation at EduProduce Conference 2024 under the title of Educational Research in the Digital Age. A brief introduction about myself. My name is Sarwa. I'm from Lebanon and I live with my family in Canada. On the professional level, I'm a chemistry and environmental systems and societies educator, a chemistry subject leader, and a researcher in the education field. Now, I would like to start the presentation to dig behind the educational research, the why behind it, and I'd like to ask you to imagine a world where teachers rely on guesswork to decide how to teach, where education policies are made without evidence, and where students are taught the same way regardless of their individual needs. On the other hand, I'd like to imagine a world where teachers adapt their lessons based on real-time data about their students' progress and learning styles, where policymakers craft education reforms based on large-scale studies showing what works best for students, and where all students have access to tailored education driven by research that understands their learning needs. Now, the question is, which world would you want to teach or learn in? And I'd assume that you will choose world number 2. So here comes the why behind the educational research. The power of the educational research is that it moves us from assumptions to evidence. So our practices in the education will be evidence-based. It empowers all learners through the creation of personalized education, which benefits everyone for sure. And it is essential for the future innovation because classrooms of tomorrow, they will rely on today's discoveries. A quick overview of educational research. We know that it is a systematic inquiry of theory and practice in education, but it is at the same time a driving force of innovation in teaching and learning, and it has an impact on policy making in the education field. Now, in order to talk about the current trends of the educational research, I'd like to go through a brief historical overview of the educational research. So between 1950s and 1980s were the start of the traditional educational research with the qualitative studies. It was about small-scale surveys, classroom observations, and data was mostly collected and analyzed manually, and it was stored in physical archives. By that time, it was the development of IQ and SAT tests and of Bloom's taxonomy. Now, between the 1990s and the 2000s was the rise of quantitative research because it became more prominent. It was supported by the early digital tools and the early use of computers for data collection and analysis. It was also the time where the development of PISA, SPSS, and LMS occurred. Now, in the 2010s, the data-driven approaches, they begin to dominate. It was supported by big data and analytics, and the research shifted towards improving learning outcomes through data analysis. And by the 2020s, we all know the era of AI, machine learning, they started to dominate educational research. Now, we can see now that educational research then is undergoing a transformation due to the rapid advancement of digital technologies. And now the key technologies like big data, AI, and interdisciplinary methods are reshaping how we understand learning and teaching. So in this presentation, we will explore briefly how these technologies impact educational research, challenges encountered in this case, and some future propositions. And for sure, I would leave the discussion to happen further in the platform, in the EduProduce platform. So what are the current trends in the educational research? We can summarize them under 3 categories: data-driven research, personalized learning using AI, and interdisciplinary approaches. Now, a data-driven culture had an evolution from the stage of data denial into the data-driven. At the data denial stage, companies denied data and they used other sources of knowledge. at the stage of data-driven, which is right now, the companies, they implement data-based approach in all possible areas, and they use it as the main source of business knowledge. And when I say business, it applies to the education as well. Now, the different steps of data-driven decision-making, you start by defining the objective. You identify and collect your data. Then you organize and explore the data, you perform the data analysis, you draw the conclusions, and then you implement and evaluate your decisions. Now, what are the benefits of data-driven decision making? It improves accuracy, efficiency, you have better strategic planning, faster decision making, greater accountability, a competitive advantage, and so on. And in addition to these benefits, there are these specific benefits in the education, which are personalized learning, because this data-driven decision-making would help you to improve curriculum design, to monitor student growth, and to adjust the instruction based on that. Among the benefits as well, the early intervention, because you will be able to address the achievement gap as soon as possible. You will increase as well the teacher effectiveness, because the teachers will be able to plan lessons based on data and to find the best teaching methods as well. And as well, the proper resource allocation, because you will be able to determine resource priorities and to assess the initiatives and program effectiveness. Now, an example of large-scale data is this one. I want to show it to you. It is Stat Canada. 1 second. Here it is. So Stat Canada is a website that shows the statistics collected at the different levels. Here I chose to be in the education field. You can go into different subjects and data, as you can see. I'd like to show you here. I chose to work on the elementary to secondary education. You can choose the reference period that you need, geography if it's at the scale of the country or at different provinces. I want to show you, for example, here, between 2017 and 2018. So the different enrollment systems here in Canada are public schools, private schools, and homeschooling. You can see here that homeschooling was around 0.66%. Now, when the pandemic hit, you can see that there was this increase in, this increase in the percentage of the homeschooling, which is 1.55. And you will see that the private schools were less, but now there's this increase in the enrollment in private schools due to the changes in the Canadian curriculum, that some parents decided to leave the public school and to go to the private schools. So this is an example of large-scale data that can be really helpful for the educational research. I want to show you a case study that is based on their large data and that is data-driven as well. It was the study done by Chicago Public Schools Board. The objective was to improve student performance and graduation rates. And they did this by collecting data of attendance, grades, behavior, and so on from more than 100,000 students. And then they implemented personalized learning plans, mentoring and real-time data dashboards for teachers. And the results were a graduation rate increased from 69% in 2015 to 84% in 2023, and a reduction of 10% of the chronic absenteeism, and an enhanced teacher satisfaction through data-driven decision-making. Now, about the second current trend in the education research, which is the personalized learning using AI. How can AI be used to personalize learning? We can, through adaptive learning pathways, real-time feedback and assessment, personalized progress tracking, automated tutoring and support in chatbots, and peer collaboration and social learning. And if we want to compare traditional learning to adaptive learning, you will see that the role of an instructor will change. So instead of being responsible to find, organize, and edit the content and to respond to students, he will be responsible to decide what to teach, and to coach and manage and engage students. And by this, the adaptive tech will be responsible to find the best content, to link the concepts to content, and to adjust based on content and student success. And for the students, instead of everyone gets the same content and everyone moves at the same pace, and if you miss a concept, you are left behind, students will get a learning plan just for them. They will skip concepts they know, and they will get recommendations, and they will master all concepts. So here, I would like to add one of the benefits as well is that for the teachers, as you can see, the instructor role has changed. One of the studies has shown that teacher time use goes according to this pie chart. 12% goes into grading. So if we can dedicate grading to be done by one of the AI tools, we can use this percentage of time of the teacher into, for example, other things like teaching or planning for the new concepts. A case study of AI and personalized learning, a research was done in China on students using AI in enhanced learning platforms called Square AI, which is dedicated for math. It showed that students had a 20% higher retention and 30% improved problem-solving skills. So AI-powered systems have been used to create personalized learning experiences for students, dynamically adjusting content to match a student's learning pace. Another case study was done at Stanford University. A Stanford researcher AI program was designed to aid students in self-paced digital learning environments, and it showed significantly improving English reading skills among the Ugandan children who used this platform. So big data and AI in educational research together, they can create opportunities for more targeted and effective teaching strategies. By the analysis of big data, you can identify patterns and trends in student performance. So it will help educators make informed decisions. And by the usage of AI algorithms, you will be able to personalize learning by adapting individual student needs. Now, for the third current trend, which is interdisciplinary approaches, educational research now, they integrate insights from various fields like psychology, neuroscience, sociology, and data science to understand the learning process from the perspective of different disciplines. For example, neuroscience studies on how students' brain process information can inform curriculum development. Among the case studies in this particular trend are the studies combining education of psychology and neuroscience to develop effective teaching methods for the students with special learning needs. Educational neuroscience, which is also known as neuroeducation, is a growing scientific field that unites research from cognitive neuroscience, educational psychology, educational technology, and other related disciplines. It aims to understand how biological processes interact with education, where scientists they explore the neural mechanisms behind reading, numerical cognition, and attention, and other associated challenges like dyslexia, dyscalculia, and ADHD. This is a brain map for a child with ADHD. It shows, for example, that the frontal lobe behind the forehead is underactive. So through this study and combining this insight from the neuroscience with the insights of education, you will be able to find what is the most effective teaching methods for this child. Now, the primary purpose of education in neuroscience is to bridge the gap between how the brain functions and how education can be structured to enhance learning outcomes. And this involves several key elements like optimizing cognitive abilities, learning and memory, attention and focus, by enhancing motivation and student engagement, by supporting health and nutrition, the physical and the mental, by refining teaching methods, and by creating optimal learning environments. I'll give you an example. Understanding the dopamine pathways would help us to understand what's happening in the cycle of addiction of our kids to the screens, for example. And if we want to break this cycle, we need to understand what's happening with them and to understand the cycle and the dopamine pathways to find the best solution for this problem. Now, what are the challenges in this current educational research? Based on the current trends, the challenges are For sure, limited funding for long-term studies and limited data access. So many schools, they lack the resources or technical infrastructure to conduct large-scale data-driven studies. The second, the gap between research and practice. So many educators, they find it difficult to implement the research findings into daily teaching due to time constraints and training gaps. And the third one, which is really, really essential, are the ethical concerns in student data use, especially with the usage of the AI. Here, I want to highlight that as we embrace digital tools, ethical concerns must be addressed, such as data privacy and security, how we are going to protect sensitive student information from misuse in a data-driven educational ecosystem. AI bias, how I'm going to ensure that algorithms do not reinforce existing inequalities. Equity of access, how I'm going to guarantee that all students, regardless of background, can benefit from these technologies. And transparency and accountability, because researchers, they must ensure transparency by clearly reporting their methods and data processing. This will enable others to replicate and verify findings, and which will enhance the credibility of educational research. So the ethical frameworks, they must be in place to guide responsible use of these tools. Now, some future propositions in order to reduce these or to solve these challenges. First one, to democratize educational research. Second, to embed AI in educational research. And third, to blend quantitative and qualitative research approaches. As for the first one, creating, for example, a global database that schools contribute to will empower smaller institutions to participate in research. So we can make research tools and data analysis platforms more accessible to schools through open source software and collaborative research hubs. This will dramatically change the landscape of educational research, especially for under-resourced schools. Second proposition is to use the AI and the research, not only in the learning. AI can transform research, making it faster, more efficient, and more inclusive. So the use of AI to enhance research methodology, for example, by automating data collection, interpretation, and reporting processes, will allow the researchers to focus more on analysis and strategies. One of the examples is to use AI tracking student engagement patterns. This will help us to adapt teaching methods accordingly. Third one is use mixed methods approach by combining the strengths of quantitative and qualitative data. I know that we are supposed to do this, but recently with the usage of the AI, people are more focused. When we say data, they go into structured data, which is numbers, scores, rates, etc. And we skip the usage of the qualitative data, or we reduce the usage of it. So we don't count on it. It is important to combine both because it will provide deeper insights into learning, and it will create a holistic understanding of educational outcomes. One of the examples, we can use qualitative methods to capture student voice and agency in research on learning environments to supplement learning analytics. This will create more and more adaptive AI systems. Now, at the end, as key takeaways, I would say that the future of educational research will be marked by a deeper integration of AI, big data, and interdisciplinary collaboration, and that emerging AI tools are enabling new ways to collect and analyze larger data sets, improving teaching methods and learning outcomes. And they are providing real-time feedback, personalized learning opportunities, and allow for a large scale analysis for student performance. And the democratization of research tools will empower teachers and institutions to become active participants in the research process. I would like to highlight again on the importance and the impact of educational research on policymaking. For this, the future of educational research depends on collaboration between researchers, educators, technologists, and policymakers. Educational research significantly influences policymaking by providing evidence-based insights. So it informs decision on curriculum design, teaching methods, and resource allocation. At the end, I would like to call you to embrace technology for interdisciplinary collaboration and for ethical use of technology. Thank you all for your attention, and please let us discuss further through the platform, through the EduBridges platform. And feel free to connect through the LinkedIn. I'm so proud of the networking I was able to create through this platform. Thank you so much. And